So the overall theme of this year's Biennale is reporting from the front, specific examples of where architecture is tackling social, political, economic issues. This year in the British Pavilion we're presenting an exhibition called Home Economics, and the concept of the show is to present 5 new models for domestic life and a new brief for the home. And it's really a response to what the curators perceive as the front line of debate about the British home and the housing crisis, which is widely debated in the UK, but I would say is a worldwide issue. So the curators chose a new concept for considering the design of a home, which was to consider the amount of time that you inhabit a particular dwelling. And they've divided this into 5 categories, so 5 periods of time. And they've invited a different designer to consider a model for the home for each of those time periods. The first time period is hours. So what would a space look like if you were going to inhabit it for a number of hours? And they've conceived a kind of collective space, a sort of giant living room, which is for a number of shared families or individuals. And they've really posed the question, how far would you be prepared to go in sharing your living space and even sharing your possessions? In days, the concept is home is where the Wi-Fi is. And this space really addresses the sort of increasing mobility and the sort of perception that accommodation is really not so much the space you're actually inhabiting, but the world that you take with you as your personal online identity. In the Months Gallery, we present A Home Without Housework, which is really considering the idea of the boarding house and reinventing the boarding house as a sort of rented accommodation. So it presents a totem which contains the sort of essentials for life. That is a sleeping area and a bathroom, essentially. And then all the other spaces of the home are conceived as shared spaces. And then we move on to years. And this is really considering the home as a form of commodity. So this proposal is really for a shell house, or what they're calling a naked house. And it presents the sort of essential components that are required to get a mortgage. The idea being that everything that you invest in that property is really what you want it to be, rather than an unnecessary investment just in order to sell it. And then finally, decades is really the home for life. It's reconceptualising home into, rather than different rooms for accommodation, it's thinking about space in an entirely different way in terms of the atmosphere and the functions. The designers have considered wet and dry, light and dark, and different types of atmosphere. And the traditional functions of a home are sort of mixed up in a new kind of way. Well, the exhibition is very pared back and minimal. There's very little text in it. And essentially, it's like a full-scale architectural model. So it's a bit like walking around one of those kind of cardboard models that architects have in their studios, with just a few objects to hint at the functions of the space. But the curators were very conscious of wanting this show to appeal to a very wide audience, and also for a level of interaction with the exhibition, so that there are lots of opportunities for people to climb on the exhibits and lie down on the beds. So really the visitors almost become part of the exhibition the minute they walk in.